Squid Game, Squid Game.
Squid Game.
We just got done watching Squid Game Season 2, and we are about to argue about it, I'm sure.
I don't think it'll be as much of an argument as you think.
No, I don't think so either, because I'm not strong. I don't have a strong feeling about this
I don't have a strong feeling about this one either, unless disappointment counts, because, and we'll get into it when we get into spoilers, but if you liked Season 1, I think there's quite a stuff early on this season that you're really going to latch onto and say it's very clever, that's a good continuation from Season 1. There's some stuff that's a little unnecessary, but hey man.
It's a TV show.
It's a TV show. And I think if you're expecting the same kind of level and intensity of Season 1, you're just not going to get it from this.
That's true. No.
And there's a few things they do, especially like narratively, structure-wise. I find that a lot of people who like Season 1 will be very disappointed in with this one. But I had rewatched Season 1 in preparation for Season 2, so some of the things that they do to tie in with Season 1 I thought were fairly clever. I think they do add a few cool little tweaks. I just think that anybody who watches it, you're probably going to really like it and then be a little bummed out by the end.
That's interesting. So without a spoiler, it's really not Season 2 of Squid Games. It's the first half, and because
Yes.
they're planning to release the third season next year, it really, like, to me it feels like a translation error more than a con.
It could be.
Where
I didn't think about
it's
that.
7 episodes and it ends. There's no resolution to any arc or anything. It's half a.
It's jarring.
It's a little bit of spoiler.
Yeah, I guess I forget it. I'll throw the spoilers because we're going to jump into spoilers when we discuss the structure of the show now anyway. So I would say.
Well, no. So this isn't really a spoiler part. No, I don't know the spoiling thing. So realistically, this is Squid Game Season 2 Part 1. So it's just 7 episodes of the 14 episode Season 2, I guess. And I know they're not planning to do anything else after Season 3.
That's what I heard.
So I feel like it's more of a translation error than anything.
They'll do other countries of Squid Game, like how they do other Love is Blind Australia. They do like Squid Game Brazil.
What is it? It's just soccer. That's all they played as kids.
So you mean Blue Lock? Yeah.
Yeah. No. So realistically, it is just it's half a season, which is the frustrating part for me. Because it's like when I walked into Dune in 2020, and I'm like, oh, I'll watch a Dune movie. And I'm like 2 and a half hours in, I'm like, I've been watching this a long time. How much is left? And there's 20 minutes left, and I'm like, oh no, it's Part 1. And none of the marketing. Well, maybe they had been marketing.
I don't think so.
But in my head, I hadn't heard any. I knew nothing about that, so I was like, oh. And so when I got to like episode 6 or 7 of this, I was like, oh no. So be prepared. It's half a season, which again I feel like is a translation error more than anything.
Could be.
I even if it's not directly a translation error, it is a translation error from the executives to the general public.
I wonder if part of the reason why it's that double parter too is because they do have because it is 7 episodes, right?
Yes.
And they're like, well, do we drop a 16 episode season all at once, or because they've been splitting up things that had traditionally been produced as one season. They did it like with The Witcher and things like that. They did it with Stranger Things. Remember they split those seasons. So they could just be it could just be split just so they could do it. But I believe there was an interview with the guy saying they kind of always had like the end point in mind, and when they got to the halfway point, they're like, this will be a good part to take a break for our audience. They've gone through a lot, which respectfully, I don't think we went through enough to care about the halfway point, but I can understand. I was like, well, we just asked him to watch 7 hours of something. Can't expect to ask him to sit down for another 7.
You're a television show. Make me watch you. Give me a reason to watch you. Don't say, well, you're probably tired of watching my show by now. If he said that, I'm just like, oh my God.
I don't remember exactly what he said. But
saying that, then I'm going to yell at you for that.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. But yeah, especially when you take a look at like this is 7 episodes and the kind of disappointing pace and lack of anything with real substance to it when you compare it to Season 1, which is 9 episodes.
Yes.
So Season 1 only had 2 more episodes and does infinitely more, especially with like characters, with tension, with plot pacing and development, and it had the burden of having to establish this world and have us buy into it right away, right? So they do all that in 9 episodes, and this almost loses me by the end of these 7th ones because of like you have gone so far away from what I was hoping for and what my preconception of a Season 2 of Squid Game would sort of be like. that, you know, I'm going along with it because I'm watching it, but I'm not really invested or excited. And I don't think they quite got it to a point where at the end of 7 episodes, I can honestly say I'm truly excited and waiting for the next one.
But preconceptions are your fault. Like, you shouldn't come into
I admitted
a show
to it just now. I did. That's why I said I was along for the ride. But so there are a few things that I kind of want to get into with a little bit more spoiler detail.
Well, spoiler free. I just want to say, the one thing that I liked is I liked all the characters. Even the ones that I didn't like, I was like, okay, I'm in for them. Like, there's a character named Thanos who is really obnoxious, but at the same time, I thought that, you know, Squid Game is about essentially criminals and lowlifes who are being dragged into this game because of their own actions.
Or
like,
very
because of their
desperate people as well.
Desperate, lowlife criminals.
Not everybody's a lowlife criminal. Some people...
Everybody's a lowlife criminal.
Everybody is a lowlife criminal. Even, I guess, including us.
So anyway, but, you know, and he is obnoxious, but at the same time, it's like, I wasn't mad every time he was on screen.
No.
You know, I was like, okay, that's fine. You know, there's a lot of characters, like, there's
He's sort of a weaker version of the gangster.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
But you need an agent of chaos in Squid Game, so that way every time you see them, you're like, oh, God.
Well, even him, I wasn't like, well, he's clearly the bad guy. You know, like, you knew it. Like, they had, like, you know, there was a funny little, not really particularly funny, but there was a sensible, like, crypto coin scammer moment.
Right.
And a couple people revolving around that. And, you know, they don't take it long, but I like all the characters in the show except for the brother, the investigation brother man. He's I don't care about him. You know?
Oh, yeah. The cop from season 1.
Yeah, I just don't really care about him.
It's not a great storyline.
No, and yeah, funnily enough, it's like the most enduring one, and it's the one I care the least about.
And it's also the one with the weakest writing.
Were there characters that you didn't care about?
There are some characters that I particularly never really grew attached to. I don't want to get into too many spoilers.
Okay, so you didn't like all the characters.
There's a few characters who I think are just weaker versions of other characters that exist. Without going too far into it, I think giving us 3 like Marine-based characters was probably a bit too much, right?
Well,
the camaraderie is one thing, and it's played mostly for jokes and brevity amongst 2 of them, which is nice. The other one is played a little too seriously, so it's kind of, I get the contrast between the jokey 2 and the serious one, but the serious one also has like another kind of very modern day hot button issue.
I actually really liked the serious one. I thought that was one of my favorite characters.
Hey,
in the show.
I liked. So I'm
Let's just get into spoilers.
Right, yeah,
because otherwise we're gonna vague book around.
I know, and it's just not going to be as entertaining.
You guys don't know what the hell we're talking about.
So the character I'm talking about, and this spoilers from this point forward, there's a former special forces, not just like a grunt, but a special forces member of the Republic of Korea, who is transitioning and has signed up in almost like a Dog Day Afternoon style, I just need to do whatever it takes to get this money kind of thing, which is interesting. But I'm also curious to see if anybody is concerned about like the very selfish nature of that character who kind of votes against like teammates and friends, especially like the old lady who has kind of like her, you know, come around to at first finds the transition person to be unsightly, but then comes around to really admiring and respecting them as a teammate. But then when they get the chance to vote as a team, does not vote with the team. And I don't think there's really any, and the show is pretty good at having people forgive each other for voting against them for a little while. And I was just wondering, like, because especially like if it's an American show, we tend to write like our minority characters almost to the point of being without flaw, to the point of not being an interesting character. We always kind of assume that the character is going to start from a place of strength and maintain a place of strength. So for this character to have like kind of like the up and down, like the moral quandary, I was wondering if I haven't gone online to read anything, but you know, like American audiences are very hyperbolic when it comes to this sort of issue.
Like quite a few male to female transgender people, they do go through their lives being, I'm the most badass manly man that you can imagine, because on the inside they're so insecure and they want to overcompensate for that. So there have been like special there have been like Green Berets, I believe,
like
that
I said,
and so I mean this is a story that speaks.
Well, it was interesting.
To a truth,
like I was saying, I find it interesting compared to the American way of Americans would never have written that character to be anything other than like the peak of like altruism and like selflessness. So I thought it was interesting that, you know, there's a few times, well, I mean, it's Squid Game. You expect people to not really be like, I mean, there's a lot more teamwork this season. And this, I think, speaks to a larger problem with this season. There's a lot more teamwork which makes the games a lot less interesting to me.
That's interesting, but you also have to remember that the reason that there's more teamwork is because they have this spanner in the works.
Yeah, they have what's his name, like Ilman or whatever is in it.
No, you have 456.
Well, yes,
And
but
he is,
also you have.
Yeah, well, I know that, but you had it in season 1 too.
That's true, but we didn't know it. We didn't expect it. To find out there was someone in there. And well, season 1, the game's like, yeah, they established team right away, and then you got turned on each other pretty dramatically.
Right.
And this doesn't quite have that.
Well, because in this season you have the guy announcing directly that people are gonna die, and everyone's like, oh well, that can't be true, and and so they kind of take him seriously. Which is
after that,
more people take him seriously than I would have thought. But again, it's a different culture than America. In America, we would have been like, "Fuck you!"
Yeah.
You think you're so good? You think you're so cool, man? Oh no, I've been shot 100 times. Oh,
well,
my USA vitamins are not.
Yeah, drink plenty of malt. I'm glad you brought up that 456 as a spanner in the work, because that is actually one of my negatives about the show. And it's not that he's there. It is that he does what I consider to be a very weak writing trope, where he has enough knowledge of what could and could not happen to make himself more helpful and more prevalent in some of these things. He already should know that, it doesn't, I just think he sits on too much information. And I feel it's because the writers are like, oh, well, if he just gets out here and explains everything, it's not going to be very interesting for the audience.
I think as soon as his triangle scheme, it wasn't even a scheme. He wasn't trying to tell people that. I think as soon as the second game wasn't what he said, then people were kind of like, oh, you're not helpful, are you? And I think they flat out say it to him, which is true.
They do.
He's not particularly helpful. However, he would create less tension in the groups because now people kind of understand the stakes. He knew the stakes. They're gonna watch him more closely. They're not gonna go off and do their own separate let's murder them at midnight plans. So I think he created more teamwork just by nature of being there. And I think it just changed the games entirely. And the games are also changed entirely by number 1.
Yeah, frontman who put himself in there specifically to befriend 456 Gihon, and I thought a lot of that was pretty cool.
Oh, I liked number 1. There were times where I was like, oh, he's on their team. And I'm like, wait a second. No, he's not. I didn't rewatch season 1, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So that is Black Mask Guy?
That is Black Mask Guy. That is Frontman.
Yep.
And I loved this detail because the end of season 1 has the original number 1, the old guy, dying. And as he's dying, he looks at Frontman and he goes, you'll never, Frontman has a flashback to when number 1's like, I'm not going to stick around to greet the VIPs, you have to. And he's like, why? And he's like, watching the games can't possibly ever be as exciting as playing them to me again. So it's like, he remembers that as the old man dies. That's when they show the flashback memory. I'm like, all right, so he's going to be in season 2 as a contestant. You have to. And then to be as bold as to make himself number 1 again.
Right.
I know, it's just like, oh. And then him telling the true story about his wife, I thought it's like, oh man, you've got Jihyun now. Like, you've got him. And the only time I was kind of upset with when they winked to the camera a bit, they winked to the audience a lot with a lot of these plots.
Yes.
But the part where he throws the top backwards and he reaches down to pick it up and just smiles at the camera. I was like, we know he's messing up on purpose. You don't have to show it to us, the audience. We're smart enough to know he's messing with them. They're doing too well too quickly. He's going to mess with them. So I was a little disappointed with that. Another thing that I was disappointed with is just, again, with the police brother, right?
Yes, Detective Brother Man, who, when he's on the boat, and it's just like the captain is so clearly the guy betraying everybody. Oh, yeah.
And it's like, dude, they have lines of dialogue where it's like, oh, he never told you? Well, if he told me, it must be okay to tell you. And it's like, oh, yeah. And it's just like all these dumb lines of dialogue where it's
so those, to me, super forgivable. Like for me that, especially the smile to the camera, absolutely forgivable.
Things like that needle me though.
That didn't needle me at all. There are small things that I noticed, like if we're talking about very small details I don't like, it's every time they're like, we're gonna gun down these guys, and it basically shows the view from the gun, and behind the person
is more Squid Game people,
or more pink shirts.
Yeah, more of the jumpsuits.
I'm so many people just be getting what do you call it? It is crossfire, I guess. But
the bullet, whatever it passes through you, is hitting the thing behind you.
Well, I mean, they are MP5 submachine guns with 9mm ammunition. They could be going subsonic.
They could
with
be.
it, so
Yeah,
they're not,
you're right.
You know,
but I doubt it.
You can try to explain it away, but those bullets are still they're gonna find their way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Bullets find a way,
They sure do.
as American school children have learned.
Oh
Jurassic Park.
no. No, I agree, and just like for every game to essentially require someone to have to be shot or gunned down.
Right.
I was like, where's the environmental danger here that like makes it so exciting? Where's like the other people being responsible for danger? Yeah,
I don't
dude.
know, but the games, like every game has great moments in it. Like the very first game they do with the 5-man 6-legged, they call the.
Well, that's the second game technically.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
okay.
The first new one. Yeah, that was fun.
I consider it the first game because we already know what the fucking.
They did spend a lot of time on it though.
They spent a lot of time on it, but the first two were great. Like these guys are like, we're teamed up. Ho, ha, ho, ha.
And I was like,
oh no, you killed us all. Oh damn it. They fall apart violently before they get murdered.
I think it would have been interesting if they had just shot the one person. It's like next station, and they have to like drag the body with them or something. Something like stupid. Really, I don't know. I just was looking for something with a little more teeth.
I think it's a time each one, and it'd be an individual game. It wouldn't be a team game.
Or like whatever time you save goes in the team bank. I don't know. It's just I honestly thought that was going to be like a twist. They were just going to shoot the one person, not the whole team. But it's fine. And then the carousel with the room was probably I found that to be much more interesting.
Oh, I loved that one, but a tiny nitpick is at the end, there were exactly 100 people left.
No,
there would have been
way.
rooms that had more than one person. Like
I agree with you,
I'm getting in no matter what.
100%. Like, yep. You would have had like 87,
which is fine.
You couldn't have had an odd number.
That is
so
such a small nitpick. It's just when I saw the number 100 at the end, I was like, my brain was just like, eh.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then I mean the biggest problem with this season really is that like my idea of Squid Game doesn't end with like an hour-long nonstop gun battle. It wasn't a full hour, but it was at least 30. Just hallway shootout fights for like your mid-season transition points. You mean to tell me? I don't know. I just didn't like looking at it. It's like they were shooting so many bullets. It reminded me of the end of, what is it? Money Heist, where in the last season, there is this shootout where it is just thousands of rounds of ammo just constantly flying everywhere. And I was like, I'm exhausted by the nonstop bullet shooting.
I mean, that is...
It is not tense for me.
Right. I mean, I didn't feel that much. Although there is a little bit of tension because I don't know who's going to live. I thought that Dai Ho, the cowardly Marine, I still don't know whether he's massively PTSD, he's a rookie, or he's false valor.
I think it's that. I think he's lying, but it could be PTSD.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could be, or just rookie nerves in general, because he's a young man, and he's like, I'm the 1146th class.
Yeah,
I'm like, and so I don't know which one. I think it probably is false valor, but it doesn't really
Stolen
matter.
valor.
I think stolen valor. I think it was interesting. I think I think there were enough moments that it was good, and I mean, it's not unrealistic that that's how like firefights with positioning works. Like you really do go da 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 da. And
no, I was fine with that.
I know, but you're right.
It's an insane number of bullets.
It is. There gets to a point where action sequences don't need to be.
Yeah. Like if you're just gonna get to the point of the shootout faster, and it doesn't need to be like an epic shootout, like Gi-hun and his best friend being a 2-man kill squad going through the hallways, gunning down like 30 people. Surely them shooting 5 and then failing to shoot the 6th and it costing his friend his life would have been enough and set the same tone. It just got so grandiose and bombastic, and at that point it was like ugly to watch for me because I was just bored and get to the point. And
okay, I can see that.
So.
I didn't have that problem personally, but I totally understand what you're saying.
Bringing his best friend in, I thought was nice, but I think the best friend deserved a little bit of a more emotional death, because this was actually his best friend, not like in season 1. And I get they don't want to repeat season 1, that him and his childhood friend, but him and his childhood friend were never close, and we never trusted their bond.
Right.
So in this one, he with his best friends, like he should have died in a more heroic, like kind of way, or in like a way that is like so impossibly beyond anybody's control, like Guillon's control. Because remember, the whole storming, everybody was his plan. Because that's why he wasn't so worried about that huge night of everybody stabbing each other. He was counting on it. He was counting on it so he could pretend to be a corpse to steal guns from the guys who came over to double check that they were still dead.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that was the one time where I was like, okay, maybe this is why he didn't speak up about the night of violence. Because at first I was like, you got to tell more people. You could save more lives. But then his plan was, I don't want to save lives.
Right.
Like a few people can die. They won't let a whole bunch of people die. It'll be a noble sacrifice because then we'll steal their guns. And I was like,
right. People are like, oh, Guillon was there to save them from the Squid Games. No,
he's there to take down the Squid Games.
He didn't have. Well, it wasn't. It was ego, and there was no altruism. There was vengeance. He wanted vengeance. He didn't want to help people.
You're right.
Yeah, and there were times where he was convincing himself, like when he tried to convince everyone to vote themselves out, he was telling them like,
we'll all die.
Like, we'll all die. We need to vote ourselves out. And he would have gone with that. But then as he got closer on, it was more like, my plan is to end the Squid Games and kill these people in vengeance.
Right. And I think that's when I finally was like, okay, this is why he's not being more altruistic. It was that moment. And I wasn't mad at the initial plan. I was just mad at the ensuing 30 minutes of bullet hell, you know?
No. Now that I hear you saying that, I understood 100%.
Which also bothers me because this 30 minutes of bullet hell ends with, like I said, mostly anticlimactically for a lot of people, including a storyline that I was really looking forward to that the show just does nothing with, and it is
256.
No.
The caricature artist.
Yes, him. Correct. Then yes. So yes, him and the girl who
11.
At the number 11, because at the end of the second episode, when she gets into that tank, and then I was like, why is she not being gassed? And then she puts on like the mask. I was like, oh, they got me on that one.
No, they did. That was awesome.
They got me on that one. And it was really clever and well done. And then for her to like start shooting wounded people, I was like, there's going to be something more to this. And then it's like...
I mean, there kind of is, though. But, like, I think they've set her up to have an arc in the second. I like her arc in the first part. I like that
she's in 3 episodes.
Well, yeah. I like that she is a brutally efficient...
Shot.
Well, not just shot, but, like, brutally efficient soldier. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, she's North Korean. She evaded her whole squad. She shot everyone that came after her, and she made it to the outpost and all that stuff. And she is... And I was like, oh, yeah, she's going to join the Squid Games, try to get money, try to get her daughter in. No. She is one of the Death Squad. Yeah.
That was a
great
twist.
reveal. I loved that. And then I liked her scenes in there. I liked that when the two guys cornered her, she didn't just go,
oh yeah, that was a really good fight though, because it was like brutal.
Yeah, like two guys pin her down in a room and tell her like you were not going to interfere with our plans anymore because she had been.
Yep.
And she didn't just become like John Wick and get rid of them and go, I'm going to do what I want.
Right.
No, she was like, I'm actually terrified after this because...
I will play the longer game here now.
Because, well, these guys could kill me. And they could have and they could still.
Well, they said they would do more than kill her, or they would kill her, then have their fun. I can't remember. I think he said they would kill her. Well, I don't know. I think the guy actually said it and was that messed up about it.
But either way, I really liked her as a character. I liked her arc. I liked her character. I felt like, I know it didn't have the payoff, but we're in part 1 of the season.
Well, so that's the other thing too, is I'm 100% sure that she is the triangle mask that shoots the caricature artist at the end of season 2. And I'm thinking it's like she must be like shooting him to knock him off the ledge. But as Squid Game has showed us, they were many, many stories up. So I don't know why they even included a scene of him being shot and falling backwards. I don't think we actually see him fall. I think he just falls backwards off screen.
You are such a fucking moron. If you get shot and fall off of something, you live.
I know, that's why.
It doesn't matter, Derek. You live.
Yeah, I know, you're right. What am I forgetting? I've never seen TV. She like puts something in his shirt before she does it.
Season 1 of Squid Games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he falls off the cliff and survives. You're right. I gotta move to Korea. So I was really looking forward to something happening with that because they had me so much on that twist. And then one thing that I wished she would have, like her being opposed to the organ harvesting thing and like making sure everybody's dead, I think it would have been much cooler if she had been, I want in on this, but we're gonna do it with bone marrow. I have a special case and you will help me find the right match and we will make sure they get out and we send the bone marrow to this kid.
No.
I thought that would have been neat.
I really liked I don't know if they're actual mafia or just bookies.
Oh, well, yes, because I believe that's supposed to be the same character from season 1,
Yes.
just recast, because
It
he's not
was
the
his
same
bookie,
actor.
but is it his mafia? Is he a mafia guy, or is he just a bookie with a big?
I think he's just had connections to seedy people, and he and he just kept paying them.
Yeah, and I loved how Gi Hyun.
Yep.
I loved how he was just paying them for 2 years to look through the subways to find. And in my headcanon, the recruiter is a Squid Game winner. He is fanatically into the games. He is fanatically disgusted by the other people.
He wasn't a winner. He was one of the soldiers, he says.
But in my headcanon, he's a winner.
Because Frontman is a winner. He's a previous winner. And the other guy was just a fanatic. He's devoted, almost cult-like, to the idea of Squid Game, which is why, his ultimate resolution.
But in my head, you don't get to be that point unless you had won, or been in the games, and that which implies winning. So that's my headcanon. It doesn't matter. But I love the recruiter. I loved when he found them and he's like, now it's a 5 in 6 chance. And I'm like, no, don't kill that guy, even though he's a piece of shit mafia bookmaker. I like him.
I have to say,
you officiated my wedding.
I can't. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Oh, and then
when the guy throws the 2 rocks, and it's like all he had to do was stick with paper. And he stuck with scissors because he's like, I was the officiant at your wedding. Like, I'm not going to let you die. I thought that was really cool. And
I really like those characters. So I liked all the characters. Other than I don't hate Detective Brotherman, but he's just a neutral character for me.
Honestly, there's so many characters in this show that are just I'm never gonna care as much about.
Well, when you're on a one-track crusade,
you're
boring. I hate to say it, but like I'm purely good. You're purely boring.
Yeah,
that's
true.
But I like the fact that in 2 episodes they did do a pretty good job of introducing micro moments for all the characters that you see.
Right. Like the Korean Dr. Bob Kelso.
Yeah.
He looks just like Bob Kelso if Bob Kelso were Korean.
Right.
I think it was less successful than season 1 in that regard, because I think season 1, once we get into the Squid Games, because we spent a lot of time with those characters in the game.
I'm talking about in terms of looks.
I know what you're saying. But like for me, it's just like most characters to me I'll define by like some kind of characteristic or like some kind of like plot structure. Like we're talking about North Korean girl who's a deadly shot, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I didn't really find myself invested in them, in the characters. And even though I
found myself invested in number 1, the best friend.
Yeah.
The young Marine.
Okay.
And the trans woman.
Yeah.
And I don't really care about the son, but the son and mother duo I care about together. Because I'm like, something fucked up is gonna happen, dude. And I hated it because I was like, no, don't.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't. I don't think I'm going to remember the cast as favorably as I did season 1. But who knows? I'll have to rewatch the second season. Thanos, I'll remember.
Crypto
guy, I'll
first
remember.
Of all, I loved his drip.
Yep.
I'm so glad they gave him the fucking black eye.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, it is that guy. I know who that one is.
And then of course his pregnant, well, not quite girlfriend, but
definitely not girlfriend.
Yeah, she was an interesting character.
But no, I did like how Thanos did his.
He's just doing drugs.
No, he did the Infinity Stones on his nail polish.
Oh yeah. Because that one girl in the first episode mockingly asks him about it, right?
Yeah.
Or is it later on? I can't remember. Because there's the one girl he's flirting with in the first episode who's the first one to get shot. And I was like, well, not expecting that. So.
Thanos. Like no, I liked him as a character because he added some flair without being distracting or annoying, you know? Like it wasn't always like, what's Thanos doing? Or he wasn't like, I'm lurking over you. They'd be like, here's a minute and a half of Thanos being like, you fucked me on Crypto, boy. like you're fucking done, dog.
Yeah.
But I thought the cast did a good job. I thought the characters were interesting enough. Now I know you keep saying it's not like season 1, it's not like season 1, it's not like season 1, but it's not gonna be. It's season 2.
I get that. I just think in this case, when you're talking a second season, maybe don't go so big with so many characters so quickly. Like in the first couple episodes, one of the reasons why we're talking so favorably about those first few characters that were introduced in the first few episodes is we got to spend more time with them. We had a better sense of them, like especially the 2 gangsters.
Yeah.
2 gangsters are not around very long, but we got to spend time with them, and it was like really telling time. The North Korean girl, that twist only works if you care about her, right? So there are ways to do it, and even like I know I keep saying season 1, but it's season 1. Like you get to know a lot of the characters just based on things that happen in because I think that's one of the problems too, is that we didn't get to see enough of games that would exploit you as an individual, that not everybody's personality and desperation shone through as much.
That's true. But the amounts that they did give towards that, I thought were fine. So in conclusion for me, Squid Game season 1, I mean, I'm not sure it was lightning in a bottle, because I never fell into the "it's the best show I've ever seen" thing. I liked it. I liked it. And I thought it was interesting. Yeah. And I thought it did come out of nowhere in a time where you're like, I want some TV shows, because nothing has been like really being produced.
I agree.
And so I think a lot of it was timing for the show. Yeah. Because it was like, we just spent 2020 not filming anything.
How shocking the first episode was. Yes. The red light, green light, that ending shocked a lot of people.
And
for good reason.
It did interesting characters. It did interesting moments with the characters. Mm-hmm. But then it had the fun little games that were really like, it's like, oh, it's a fun game. Oh no, you're getting murdered. And oh no, that person's gonna die. Oh, are they gonna die? And the answer is yes, they are. Yeah. And so I thought season 1 was good. I thought it was good, verging on great.
Yeah, it's up there.
But then season 2, so you're following up on lightning in a bottle.
I mean, I'm not sure it was lightning in a bottle.
And they took their time to write out. I appreciate how they took their time to write it and didn't just go, we need the follow-up now.
Go pick more kids' games.
Right. And I think they did a good job casting. I don't know much about Korean casting or actors, but I had no problem with any of the actors. I think they did a good job giving all the characters, with the screen time they had. I think they gave them the moments. I don't think they wasted, except for those 30 minutes. What the hell you're talking about? I really don't think they wasted time to a degree that you can complain about it. Because we can find small moments that we're going to feel they wasted, but I don't feel like they.
Right.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was a problem.
You feel
like I don't think it was. It wasn't an epidemic of wasted time. It was anyway. So and I thought the games that they did were done well. I do think they've spent a little too much time on like the one, not that individual one, because that was great, but on that game in general. Yeah. Like then we see some more people. We can just do quick cuts, individual moments of people fucking up. And
first game, if it's not their game, then their game, like they did with Tug of War. Yeah. First game wasn't their game, then we watched their game. It's like you don't need you can set the rules and you can set like the randomness for it, and then you can show us how they react. But even that,
it wasn't. I don't feel like it was wasted time. I feel like it was Squid Game's time. Yeah. Like it was more like season 1 early games. We're getting into this. You're not going to capture the lightning in the bottle again, but it was still fine. And yeah, other than like when it comes, and then I thought everything was really good. I thought the bathroom fight was interesting. I thought the murder at night, that really showed how Gihan was so like one track minded.
Hide under your beds.
Like I'm gonna sacrifice everyone to save
anyone from doing it again.
Yeah. And then yeah. And I think it left enough like little mysteries. Like, what is one's plan? I think there's still mysteries left for the second half of the season. Shut up. I think there are
Oh no, there's definitely mysteries. There's only mysteries left
for the second half of the season, not season 3. Shut up.
It is. I would agree with you that it's definitely. They can call it season 3 all they want.
It's not.
It's not.
And I enjoyed watching it. I think that's the thing. I watched it in 2 sittings because I didn't.
In 2 sittings as well.
Because I wasn't ever like, I want to stop watching this. Like when the second episode came out, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch one more, and then I watched 4 that night, and I was like, what's a sign that it's at least decent?
Fair enough.
I liked it.
I really enjoyed those first 3 episodes. I had a really good time with them. I thought they did a really good job jumping in immediately with because I thought for sure we were going to start in the middle of everybody waking up in the room. I thought they were going to spend the first episode introducing the new cast of characters, and then I thought they were going to end it with them all going out to do the red light, green light, and then this guy steps forward, we follow his feet, slow cut, walk out, and he's like, nobody move, and there's Gihan, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, so now we know everybody, and we know Gihan's in there. But to pick up immediately with our main guy, and then show what he was doing, I was like, I actually kind of approve of this. And then we get to see a couple characters that, like we were saying, we get to know a little bit more about, we get to care a little more about. The games for me were, like I said, it's not quite as cutthroat. I need stuff with more of that environmental fear to it, because right now everything's just timing based, and it's not as fun without like that sense of like that glass ladder game kind of thing that they did in season 1, where it's like, all right, here's your environmental danger, and you always have a time thing, you know?
Yeah.
So things like that were a little missed for me. But then again, it's only half the season, which also for 7 episodes, I just think it's too long to give me half a season. I don't think they used their time completely well. It's just not how I would have ended it with that bullet hell as we discussed. But then also you have them taking Gi-hun, and it's like, so what are you gonna do now? As a matter of fact, you should almost just scrap this game and make him watch you like execute them and bring in a new team or something like that. Be like, this is your fault.
Oh, they're gonna put him right back in the game.
I think so.
They're gonna be like, hey, here's all these people that hate you.
Yeah.
And because you got everyone that was with you killed.
Yeah, and now you're back.
Here you go.
No, you're probably right. And I just...
And the only person that's gonna save him is like is badass trans marine.
I think you're probably right.
You come near him, you come near me.
But I just think I don't know. We still
we don't know.
We don't know. There's because if the way they ended this season, if they go through and they give me like, now here's the back half of this game, I'm like, well, your stakes are now substantially less because most of the characters you've introduced die in this first half. So it's like all right, well, you'll have to reintroduce people or focus on other people. And I mean, I guess that's fine, but it's also now I know I only have like maybe 7 episodes before you wrap this up. So maybe 6 episodes.
About the future content, whereas not like what's actually happened.
Well, that's because there's nothing for me to sink my teeth into in the finale. I get no satisfying conclusion to anything, so I'm only left to speculate as to what they'll do. Because all of my excitement early on this season has gone nowhere because no one does anything.
Always just goes, it's going to be terrible. Oh, it's going to suck.
Well, because they didn't give me faith in these 7 episodes. Season 1 is 9 episodes and had to do more character building and world building. Plus, to say nothing of, there's an episode where they're like, all right, you're free to lead Squid Game. So they do. And then a lot of them come back. And so it's like, you've already done and shown me what you're capable of within like a 9 episode season. This is 7. So we're only talking about 2 episodes more, and they had to do more in those 9 than they had to do in 7. And so I feel like a lot of the things I was hopeful and optimistic for, and that I really enjoyed the pacing and character work in those first 3, just went nowhere, and they just dragged their feet. And so, yeah, I don't have a ton of confidence in how they're going to land this bird. I just don't think it's going to end well, because they didn't end this half well. Like, there's very little for me to be excited about by the end of it compared to how I started. I just think I just think it was a wasted opportunity, and because I didn't know it was going to be half a season until I started getting real nervous, like you were saying, in episode 5, I was like, oh god, we're still focusing on this one game. They better hurry up. And it's like, turns out no, they don't have to. So yeah, it kind of bummed me out. It says not reaching my reasonable expectation that something labeled season 2 would be an actual season 2. So just a bummer. All right, well, that appears to be all the time we have for this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. If you liked Squid Game season 1 and 2, let us know. If you didn't, also let us know. Any feedback is much appreciated. All right, anyways, guys, till next time.
No one's going to read it.
I read them.
Why would you read comments?
I have the time.
You're going to read a YouTube comment.
I have, yeah. Never responded.
Oh, my God.